Can you imagine a monk who teaches with laughter, irreverence, and even sexual innuendo? Born in 1455 in the Tsang region of western Tibet, Kunley turned the world of Buddhism on its head. His methods were shocking, yet captivating, a bold reminder that enlightenment isn't far removed from our human experience. It's not something mystical locked away in sacred texts. It's right here, in our messy, wonderful lives. Doesn't that spark your curiosity? Kunley's legacy goes far beyond his mischievous reputation. It's encapsulated in Chimilarang, the temple of fertility in Bhutan, but also resonates in the cultural psyche of the region. Can you believe those ubiquitous phallic symbols in Bhutan, so unapologetic and bold, are not just decorative? They're profound symbols of his teachings, reminding us of the divine essence within human desires. So what was Kunley really trying to show us about life, spirituality, and ourselves? Let's journey into the wild and wondrous world of Drukpa Kunley, a revolutionary spirit whose wisdom feels as fresh and essential today as it did centuries ago. And hey, if you find this fascinating, why not share this video with someone who loves uncovering the unexpected? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories that challenge the way we see the world. Early life, the making of a madman. What kind of upbringing shapes a man like Drukpa Kunley? Born into a family of yogis in the spiritually vibrant Tan region, Kunley's life seemed destined for the conventional monastic path. Surrounded by a rich tapestry of spiritual traditions, his childhood was steeped in the profound teachings of Buddhism and the mystical energy of tantric practices. The Tsang region, known for producing enlightened masters, would have offered Kunley an environment brimming with opportunities to delve into the spiritual realms. Yet even within this fertile ground, the seeds of Kunley's unique perspective began to sprout. At Ralang Monastery, one of the great centers of Tibetan Buddhism, Kunley immersed himself in the teachings of Siddhas, those enigmatic tantric masters who embodied a seamless blend of spiritual insight and earthy wisdom. It was here that he absorbed the core tenets of Buddhist philosophy, developing a deep understanding of the path to enlightenment. Yet, his exposure to the Siddhas' unconventional methods planted the first seeds of his own eventual departure from orthodoxy. For these masters, enlightenment wasn't found solely in ascetic discipline, but in the heart of life's contradictions, a lesson Kunley would take to extraordinary extremes. By the age of 25, Kunley made a bold decision. He abandoned the strictures of monastic life. To those who knew him, this was a shocking departure, especially for a man so well versed in the spiritual teachings of his time. But to Kunley, it was a necessary act of liberation. Why? Was it rebellion? An impulsive act of defiance? No. Kunley's break from monasticism was a profound critique of what he perceived as the institutional rigidity that stifled the essence of spiritual exploration. His actions spoke to a deeper conviction that enlightenment is not confined to the austere walls of a monastery or dictated by the rules of dogma. Kunley's departure wasn't a rejection of Buddhism itself, but a bold reimagining of its practice. He believed that enlightenment transcends the boundaries of cloisters and rituals, residing instead in the raw, unfiltered experiences of daily life. In stepping away, Kunley sought to embody the true essence of what the Siddhas taught, a path where the sacred and the profane coexist, where wisdom arises not from rejection of the world, but from embracing it in all its glorious complexity. Isn't this a question worth pondering today? How often do we mistake structure for substance, clinging to traditions that may no longer serve their original purpose? Kunley's radical choice reminds us that the essence of spirituality lies not in adherence to rules, but in the courage to seek truth wherever it may be found. His life became a living testament to the idea that enlightenment is a deeply personal journey, one that requires breaking free from conventional boundaries to explore the boundless potential of the human spirit. The philosophy of crazy wisdom. Crazy wisdom, doesn't the term itself spark curiosity? Drukpa Kunley's approach embodies this paradoxical philosophy rooted in Vajrayana Buddhism. He shattered societal norms, using shocking humor and irreverent behavior to jolt people awake from their spiritual slumber. Have you ever been shaken out of complacency by something unexpected? Cunley's antics, from bawdy jokes to absurd acts, weren't just for shock value. They were profound teachings wrapped in humor. Cunley's life was a tapestry of wild, unconventional actions that concealed profound spiritual insights. He roamed freely, often referred to as the Mad Saint of Bhutan, a title earned not through madness in its literal sense, but through his fearless rejection of societal constraints. His behavior challenged the rigidity of conventional morality, inviting people to see beyond superficial rules to the deeper truths of existence. By deliberately flouting societal expectations, Cunley forced people to confront their own attachments and judgments. At the heart of his philosophy was a beautiful truth. Enlightenment is not separate from life. Imagine that. All your struggles, joys, and desires, they're not obstacles but pathways to awakening. For Cunley, every moment was sacred, whether it involved drinking wine, singing bawdy songs, or cracking irreverent jokes. He lived in a way that demonstrated how life's messiness could be embraced rather than escaped. By turning mundane experiences into spiritual lessons, he showed that the ordinary is no less divine than the extraordinary. Cunley dared to challenge the sacred-profane divide, reminding us that divinity permeates every corner of existence. Doesn't this perspective liberate us from the fear of being imperfect? His teachings offered a radical acceptance of human nature with all its flaws and contradictions. Unlike traditional approaches that often emphasize purity or detachment, Cunley's philosophy embraced the entirety of the human experience. He taught that true spirituality isn't about escaping the world, but engaging with it fully, with humor, love, and unfiltered authenticity. Through his crazy wisdom, Cunley transformed the mundane into the miraculous. He reminded us that enlightenment isn't confined to meditation halls or spiritual texts. It's found in laughter, mistakes, and even moments of foolishness. His teachings remain a beacon for those seeking freedom from rigid dogmas and an invitation to explore life's deeper truths with a playful, open heart. Could there be a more liberating path to awakening? Underscore 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 miraculous tales, subduing demons and enlightening minds. Cunley's journey through the mountains was marked by laughter, song, and an unshakable lightness that concealed the profound wisdom he carried. One of the most extraordinary tales about him unfolds at the Docha La Pass, where a demoness named Loro Dwem terrorized travelers. Her presence filled the air with fear, her laughter echoing like a storm through the valleys, and her shadow darkening the hearts of anyone who dared to cross her path. When Cunley arrived, he did not carry weapons or armor. Instead, he brought his irreverent humor and the sacred magic thunderbolt of wisdom. As he approached the demoness, she roared with fury, her monstrous form towering over him. Travelers hid in the trees, expecting a clash of divine power against her malevolence. But Cunley, instead of meeting her with violence, met her with a disarming grin and an unshaken presence. He sang songs that mocked her terror, turning her ominous roars into absurdities. His jokes pierced her arrogance, unraveling her anger into confusion. "Why cling to such darkness?" he asked her. when light is so much sweeter. And then, with a playful and audacious gesture, he wielded his thunderbolt of wisdom, not as a weapon but as a tool for transformation. In that moment, Loro Duem's terrifying form began to shift. Her monstrous exterior melted away, revealing a radiant being beneath the shadow. Overcome with the realization of her ignorance, she knelt before Kunle and vowed to protect the Dharma. The demoness became a guardian, a living symbol of transformation, proof that even the darkest forces can be turned into light with wisdom and compassion. Years later, on that very spot where Loro Duem was subdued, a temple was built. Chimi Lakang, the Temple of Fertility, stands as a beacon of Kunle's teachings, celebrating life, creation, and the sacredness of existence. It became a sanctuary where women longing for the blessing of a child would make their pilgrimage. The temple rituals were unlike any other. A wooden phallus, humorously large yet imbued with symbolic power, was used to bless those who came in hope. To outsiders, the practice seemed strange, even comical, but for those who understood Kunle's teachings, it was deeply poetic. Fertility, the very act of creation, was honored as sacred. Kunle's philosophy challenged centuries of asceticism, where spirituality often denied the body and its desires. For him, sexuality and procreation were not distractions from enlightenment, but pathways to it. He saw life in all its rawness and beauty as an opportunity for growth and connection. One evening, a young couple arrived at the temple. They had traveled for days, carrying their hopes and fears like precious cargo. The woman, her hands trembling, knelt before the temple's altar. She whispered her longing for a child, her voice filled with both desperation and faith. A monk, carrying the wooden phallus, gently tapped her head, murmuring blessings passed down through centuries. As the ritual concluded, the woman's tears turned into a smile, a flicker of hope igniting within her. Months later, the couple returned, their arms cradling a newborn. They brought offerings of gratitude, their joy spreading like sunlight through the temple halls. Stories like theirs became woven into the legend of Chimi Lakang, a place where the miraculous and the mundane merged. Kunle's teachings lived on in every corner of the temple, in every laugh that echoed through its walls, and in every life that blossomed from its blessings. His legacy was not just in subduing demons, but in transforming the way people saw themselves and the world around them. He taught that nothing was too ordinary or too profane to be sacred. Even the simplest aspects of life, birth, laughter, love, were infused with divine meaning. As the sun set over the temple, its golden light bathed the land where Kunle had once walked. Travelers paused to admire the view, their hearts lighter, their steps more joyful, and in the quiet breeze it seemed as though Kunle's laughter still lingered, reminding them that wisdom, when paired with humor and compassion, could transform even the darkest of shadows into radiant light. The Black cultural legacy, phallic symbols, and protective charms. Walk through Bhutan and you'll see them, phallic symbols adorning walls, homes, and altars. Shocking to some, these symbols are deeply rooted in Drukpa Kunle's teachings. They are talismans, warding off negativity and reminding us of the creative energy within us all. Do we, perhaps, need such bold symbols in our own lives to challenge taboos and celebrate authenticity? These phallic symbols are not merely provocative decorations. They carry profound spiritual and cultural significance. For centuries, they have been a means of protecting households from malevolent forces, fostering fertility, and channeling positive energy. They challenge societal notions of propriety, asking us to confront our discomfort with the raw, unfiltered aspects of life. By placing these symbols in prominent locations, Bhutanese culture invites individuals to reconsider the boundaries between the sacred and the mundane. In Vajrayana Buddhism, the phallus represents the union of opposites, a harmony of masculine and feminine, spiritual and physical. This sacred duality is essential for attaining enlightenment, reflecting the Buddhist principle that liberation comes not from rejection, but from integration. Kernley's normalization of these symbols was more than a cultural statement. It was an invitation to embrace the fullness of our humanity. His teachings remind us that the spiritual path is not about transcending our human nature, but understanding it deeply and compassionately. Doesn't that feel liberating? Moreover, these symbols serve as a playful yet powerful reminder of the impermanence and interconnectedness of life. Drukpa Kunle, the divine madman, used humor, unconventional methods, and sometimes even shock to convey profound truths. The phallic imagery encapsulates this spirit of irreverence and authenticity, encouraging us to strip away pretensions and engage with life in its most raw and honest form. In today's world, where societal norms often confine expression, these symbols challenge us to rethink our approach to authenticity and openness. They ask us whether we, too, can embrace such boldness in our own lives, whether we can celebrate the creative, chaotic, and life-affirming energies within us without fear or judgment. Could these ancient symbols, born of a radically inclusive spiritual tradition, inspire modern individuals to break free from the constraints of conformity? In essence, the phallic symbols of Bhutan are not just relics of an ancient culture, but timeless calls to introspection. They ask us to see beyond the surface, to recognize the profound within the playful, and to find harmony in the contradictions of existence. They invite us to celebrate life in its fullest expression, unashamed, unfiltered, and unafraid. Unconventional methods, profound insights. Kernley's methods may have scandalized his contemporaries, but they were undeniably effective. His humor made the profound accessible. His irreverence stripped away pretense. Isn't it remarkable how often the most unconventional voices are the ones that resonate deeply? Kernley's approach wasn't just rebellion for its own sake. It was a deliberate act of cutting through societal illusions. His humor, though shocking, was a tool to jolt people out of their complacency. Laughter, he seemed to understand, could be as powerful as prayer in shifting perspectives and breaking down the barriers of ego. By turning the sacred into something playful, Kernley not only made spiritual teachings relatable, but also invited people to question rigid doctrines. He demonstrated that the divine wasn't confined to temples or rituals. It was everywhere, even in the most mundane or taboo aspects of life. For Kernley, desires weren't chains, but keys to self-discovery. He viewed human passions not as obstacles to enlightenment, but as opportunities to confront and understand the self. In a world where renunciation was often seen as the only path to spiritual growth, Kernley's embrace of desires was revolutionary. He taught that by engaging with our impulses and understanding their roots, we could transcend them rather than being enslaved by them. This perspective challenges the dichotomy between the sacred and the profane, urging us to see holiness in the whole spectrum of human experience. Sexuality in particular was central to his teachings, not as something to be suppressed, but as a sacred force intertwined with creativity, vitality, and connection. Kernley's view was that rejecting this fundamental aspect of humanity only led to fragmentation and denial, while embracing it allowed for a fuller, integrated existence. By reframing sexuality as a spiritual force rather than a sinful indulgence, he broke down barriers of shame and guilt that often hinder personal growth. In embracing what others shunned, Kernley showed us the way to integrate rather than reject the human experience. His legacy challenges us to question, what would it look like to live without fear of judgment, to confront our desires with curiosity instead of shame? Can we find the courage to embrace our humanity in its entirety, and in doing so, uncover the sacred within ourselves? Kernley's life serves as a testament to the transformative power of authenticity and the liberation that comes from accepting life in all its messy, beautiful complexity. Broader implications. Drukpa Kernley's relevance today. Drukpa Kernley's teachings carry a timeless relevance, challenging the rigid structures of modern spirituality and inviting us to rethink how we approach the sacred. In today's world where rules and dogmas often dominate, his message feels revolutionary. Kunle reminds us of the importance of questioning everything, of laughing freely, and of living fully in the moment. Too often we become so bound by the rules and rituals of spiritual practice that we fail to recognize the divine in the ordinary. Kunle's irreverent philosophy prompts us to ask whether we are clinging to the path while losing sight of the destination. His life and teachings encourage a spirituality rooted in authenticity, spontaneity, and a deep connection to the present moment. One of the most striking aspects of Kunle's legacy is his use of humor as a spiritual tool. In a world weighed down by stress and disconnection, laughter emerges as a powerful force for healing and transformation. For Kunle, humor was not mere entertainment. It was enlightenment in disguise. By encouraging people to laugh at their own egos, fears, and attachments, he created opportunities for profound self-awareness and growth. This perspective aligns with modern psychological studies, which affirm that laughter lowers stress, strengthens resilience, and fosters emotional well-being. In this sense, Kunle's humor serves as a reminder that spirituality need not be heavy or somber. Instead, it can be a joyful journey, one where laughter dissolves barriers and opens hearts. His teachings urge us to embrace lightheartedness and joy as essential components of the spiritual path, reminding us that laughter can illuminate truths that solemnity often obscures. Perhaps Kunle's most controversial yet transformative teachings lie in his integration of sexuality and spirituality. In societies where sexuality is frequently treated as taboo, his unapologetic embrace of desire as an aspect of the divine offers a radical perspective. Kunle reframed sexuality not as something to be suppressed or feared, but as a sacred and integral part of human experience. His teachings challenge us to move beyond guilt and shame and toward a more compassionate and holistic understanding of ourselves. This message feels particularly vital in a time when questions of sexual identity, consent, and freedom are at the forefront of cultural discourse. Kunle's approach suggests that the path to spiritual growth lies not in repression, but in integration, acknowledging and honoring every part of our humanity. By doing so, we can cultivate a spirituality that celebrates rather than denies the fullness of life. Drukpa Kunle's teachings are a call to live with courage, laughter, and an open heart. His irreverence, humor, and radical perspective on sexuality challenge us to break free from the constraints of conventional spirituality and to rediscover the sacred in every moment. In a world searching for authenticity and connection, his wisdom resonates as deeply as ever, urging us to embrace the divine not as something distant or inaccessible, but as a vibrant living force within and around us. Conclusion: the eternal madman. Drukpa Kunle's legacy isn't confined to the past. His teachings continue to resonate, challenging us to seek the sacred in the ordinary, to embrace life's paradoxes with open hearts and playful spirits. What if enlightenment isn't a distant goal, reserved for saints or secluded ascetics, but something alive and waiting to be discovered in the here and now, amidst the chaos and beauty of everyday existence? Kunle's approach to spirituality is a daring invitation to step beyond the confines of dogma and societal norms. His life exemplifies a profound truth, that wisdom is not rigid but fluid, that holiness can be found in a hearty laugh as much as in silent meditation. By celebrating Kunle, we celebrate the courage to defy expectations, to question conventions, and to approach life with a sense of humor and boundless curiosity. His teachings are a call to action, not to perfection, but to authenticity. They remind us that the journey to awakening isn't a straight line, but a vibrant, meandering path, full of twists, turns, and surprises. Kunle's unapologetically human approach suggests that enlightenment is not about transcending life, but fully embracing it. Every joy, every sorrow, every absurd contradiction. Can you imagine a world where we all lived with such fearless authenticity? A world where laughter and love were as sacred as prayer, and where the divine wasn't sought in distant realms but cherished within our wonderfully imperfect selves? Perhaps Kunle's laughter still echoes through time. not as a relic of history, but as an eternal reminder. It urges us to look inward, to find the divine spark hidden within the ordinary moments of our lives, and to live with an unshakable joy that lights the way for others. In celebrating the madman Drugpa Kunle, we are reminded that the path to awakening is as diverse and colorful as life itself. His life asks us to dare, to laugh, to love, and to see the sacred where we least expect it. Perhaps, in doing so, we might discover that enlightenment is not a destination, but a way of being, woven into the vibrant tapestry of our everyday lives.